When I was 20 years old, I have this big confusion what profession to choose. And now it's 30 years later, basically, and I can give you my feedback and a few tips how to deal with such period. First off, I just want to describe a little bit. It felt like I was inside a room with no doors and no windows. So it's really difficult because you need to make a choice and you just don't get the idea what choice to pick. And I just want to share with you that it took me at least 20 more years until I got the idea what I was actually better doing in my life. So all this to say that when you are maybe 16, 17, 20, 22, 25 or so, you may never find the answer. And that's the short first thing that you need to contemplate. And I'm going to give you a few tips about this, how to deal with it. But first, maybe my suggestion would be just to deal with the situation. Basically, I apologize, I have a health condition, I need to constantly drink water. So how to deal with this situation is, first, do not waste time. Do not take a break. Maybe you finished high school or so. Don't say, I'm going to take a break 6 months, 1 year, do nothing and find the idea. Because there is a good chance that idea may not come. Not everybody, but there is a good percentage of persons will not find the answer. So do not waste time. What I recommend to do is two options. Either take a job like a minimum wage job, something that's easy to find, could be anything, and it's not always going to be a boring job. It depends on the person. Sometimes it's difficult, but you may find a job with a nice team and you may enjoy the place and the time spent. And also, I'm going to give you a second type of job advice, but the idea here is to take, before you make a choice of profession, take a period of, I would say a minimum 1 year, but I would think about 2 or 3 years working something unrelated with your future profession. And during this period of time, give you time to reflect and to search. And I'm going to give you a few tips how to search for profession idea. During these 2-3 years, you are going to be working, saving money. That is so important. Why? Because you are going to make a switch at some point later in your life, 25 years old or so, and during that switch you are going to go to studies and you will need money. You may not be able to work during your studies, so you need to save certain amount of money, plan ahead. You may even need to switch twice the studies. Just giving you more tips in a moment. So yes, I was saying that there are going to be choices of jobs like something, restoration, whatever, manufacturing and so on, but also, why not take a small certificate? There are certificates that, at least I'm in Canada, but I think United States is the same. It takes you 9 months to complete them. And it's going to open you the doors for a small profession which is going to be temporary. It's not going to be your future profession. Probably not. But it's going to be a temporary job, 2, 3, 4, even 5 years. Save money, think, look at that long period of time. Maybe you will find the answer, and I want just to give you more tips about finding the answer, why you can't, and maybe how to find it. I was talking about this kind of certificate, which is really very quick, but could be anything else. Could be like my idea here is not to invest at that moment too many years of study. That's why I talk about certificate, which is usually under 1 year. You get a sort of degree and you get to a small profession which has also a better pay, and oftentimes maybe it's going to be something office related. It's going to be more or less punishing if you want. to search for a small profession and even later on to search for your actual profession, my suggestion is look on websites for colleges and also websites for various schools. You just go online and search, maybe with Google Maps, schools in your area. I mean, schools that give you certificates and stuff like this. So locate those schools, make a list, and then go on the website for each school or even college, and search on their website. They have a list with all their degrees that they are offering. It could be certificates, degrees, and so on and so on. And just look through that list and try to find something. Again, this is temporary. Try to find something that you find maybe cool to do this 2-3 years, to work in this field for 2-3 years. But really search by yourself. When you find a few, maybe let's call this certificates, try to find the information what it is about. But at this point, it's not so important. This is not your future profession. It's really temporary, but still you need to make kind of a choice, which is not always simple. The name doesn't really tell you much, but try to find information. You have YouTube. I give you a small example, which I was looking at some point. I think it's called a transport logistics coordinator or something. How do you find really what it is exactly this job? You just go on YouTube basically. Or even you may go on forums. You search transport logistic coordinator. This is just an example, right? And add the word forum in your Google search or whatever search engine, and look what the people are talking on forums. And you can do this with any kind of profession. I give you an example. I was searching. I was really curious what it is to work or have a profession as a cop, as a policeman, because we can have any kind of imaging of that profession taken from movies or from anything, and that may be really different than the actual job. So I was just looking for forums, just search cop life, not cop life, but cop profession problems or difficulties or experience, or do you like being a cop, and add forum at the end of this search, and bang, you land on actual forums where basically it's forums where are just only policemen talking about their good parts and bad parts of their profession. But they say the real things, the actual real things which you'll never hear anywhere elsewhere. So this is just to, again, find a small profession job, temporary, for 2-3 years. During that period of time, again, it's all about saving money, but also searching for a future profession. And basically, I just gave you the idea, the way to try to find something that kind of you like, fits you. It's go on those websites. If you want to go for a college degree, you go on college websites and search through their programs. I just want to say something first. I was saying I gave you the example of policeman. I have a video, I should link you that video in the comment section, about having a realistic view of, I selected kind of 10 professions or so, from doctor to plane pilot, airline pilot, to astronaut, and so on. So I just kind of tried to get you the positive and negative, but you need to think this way. Basically, it's impossible to know in advance what a profession is unless you have somehow the opportunity to go sit with an actual worker in that field for at least a few hours. Talk with that person and just see what the actual profession is in real life, through experience that you are going to have for your next 40 years of life. If you think doctor should be like helping others and so on, forget about it. If you have someone in your relatives, just ask. Maybe someone has a general practitioner friend or relative, and just ask, can I go stay with that person in the office? Maybe it depends. Obviously, it's going to be like restrictions because they meet persons and so on, but to just stay someplace around in that area. I just get the feeling what it is, that profession. But again, it's all about searching on websites of colleges and so on. And my second tip here is that, so I'm talking here how to find your future profession during those 2-3 years gap while you will be working something else. It's also when you try to find what fits you more or less. Don't be ideal. There's nothing ideal out there. It's also a matter of knowing yourself. And this is, I think, one of the big problems. I'm just guessing. It was mine, and I'm guessing there are going to be other people like this. I was born this guy. I spent my youth in a family with parents who were very controlling. And what happened is basically that I just didn't know myself. I also was fairly immature. And I just had no idea who am I. It's hard to explain what this exactly means. But I was more of, I don't know, that control thing from parents. It's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't allow you to be yourself. The moment, it took me very, very long time and basically a lot of trauma in life to kind of come back to myself, so to speak. And that happened basically when I was around 40 years old. That's really late. But from that moment on, I just started to kind of see how I am, basically. And one of the things that happened at that point is I started to kind of, without really realizing, develop hobbies. You throw you out there, maybe just for the sake of it. I started to repair things. It doesn't matter what exactly, but that was kind of spending time in a pleasant way for me. So already when you see something like this, that when you have something like this, this gives you a hint about yourself. I'm not saying you are going to repair things, but something else. It doesn't matter. It could be reading things, curious about things, kind of finding information about a subject and memorizing very easily that information. That gives you an idea. It doesn't really mean that you are going to follow that thing, but it's a lead, right? So it may give you a suggestion. So this part with the hobby was one of the things, and I can tell you just because of this, I'll give you an example. I did, when I was in my 20s, I did study engineering, and I went pretty far into this profession. Basically, I did a master's degree, and that was really not fit for me. When I started working as an engineer, that was really difficult for me psychologically, let's say, to spend time in front of a computer and do whatever numbers, calculations and stuff like this, diagrams and so on. And I don't know, it was difficult. But all this to say that you can take a really wrong direction, and I didn't stay in that path either. So if you be careful, because you can invest a lot of effort and energy and especially time, but also financial, because when you change a profession, you really need to be careful with your money, and all that has been lost, and you need to pay attention not to start running in the wrong direction. Yes, so I was saying that I had to basically just look to other ways, but I'm just giving you a hint, just for my example here, between engineering and my hobby of repairing things, it's a big gap. One is very practical, one is very touching the things, the objects. It's also being in an open space, if you want. It's not locked into a cubicle, into an office in front of a computer. So the two are very different, and that explains why I was really not happy with the engineering part. So just recapping a little bit, when in life you are going to maybe understand how you are, find yourself, so to speak, if you are in this kind of context, then you will find more about yourself. But unfortunately, you never know when this moment happens. Like I said, it took me when I was 40, so that's 20 years old after the moment I had to make a decision professionally speaking. So you never know when this happens. It may not even never happen. That's why I'm saying that it's you should not wait for this moment to happen and not do anything during that time. That's why you may want to take a small job for 2-3 years. Think about it. If you cannot find the answer during those 2-3-4 years, I'm just giving a suggestion of time of a first temporary profession, just see if you can stay in that way with that job, or just switch, do something else, do another certificate. If you have the good finances, try something else, and just keep trying like this. It's up to each one, I guess. You can try several times, several things, but again, until you really feel like you got the idea, don't invest too much time learning some profession. So don't invest too much effort in one way. Just do small tries. If you want, you can try several times or stay with one of these, and until you find the answer. If you find the answer, just consider, I guess that's how it is. Maybe you will never find the answer in your lifetime. I don't think we are how to say, we got this idea that for each person is thinking basically this way, that my life should happen, should be just standard, normal. It's not going to be the same for everyone. So some people may not find the answer. That's what I want to say here. Yes, all this to say that this part with knowing yourself, I think it's fairly important. And that's just my suggestions here. Just maybe look in the comment section. I just want to finish this video with basically the idea that I did share in another video, which I'm going to link as well, when I was talking about living a rural life, countryside, or if you want more, could be from agriculture. This may sound strange for many people, especially for we are born in cities and we don't even know what's agriculture these days, right? We just buy the foods from groceries. But I was saying in that video, this is just another idea that may fit some people living a rural life. I was just trying to argue in that other video that basically this is a way that humans have been living from agriculture for thousands of years. Majority of humans, we the modern people that we are today, have been living this modern life, so to speak, only since maybe at most 200 years ago. So it's really kind of in the mankind history, it's a short period, and it's also, I think it's fairly easy to see that this modern life is kind of forcing us to get into the mold and to kind of, it's not that easy. While back in time, 500, 1,000 years ago, people never even questioned this. What should I do in life as a job, as a profession? They were living with their parents in the countryside. Some were craftsmen people. Is that how you say it? But most were just, working the crops, or maybe animals and so on, and they never questioned this, but also it came very naturally to them. And this is just my take here, just my personal opinion. I think it's not just about the fact that humans been living rural life for thousands of years, but I think that's the most natural way for a human to be, actually, to live and to work. That's just my take. Now we are going to say, hey, can I have a cell phone in the countryside? Yes, you can, obviously. today, if you ever go to live from agriculture, you are not going to live perhaps like people 300 years ago. You are going to have maybe even a TV, but you are for sure going to have tools, electricity, fridge, communication, hospital not that far away, transportation, cars, so on. So it's much easier than it was before, but still it's not an easy choice, and it has to be done. Especially for someone who has been living his whole life in the city, has to be done with a lot of thinking and a lot of reality. So I need to watch the reality in face, not dream about rural life or so. But on the good part, I think just living in the middle of the nature is something that here young persons from city don't really understand. It's also a matter of socializing, but it's just it looks boring. It's not boring. Rural life is not boring, because if you work in agriculture, you are going to wake up at 5 a.m., you are going to go to bed at 9 a.m., you'll be working all those hours, most than likely. It's a lot of work, there's no time to get bored, and that includes children as well. You don't work your children hard, but it can makes them busy as well, because they should help and they can help their parents as well, at least from a certain age. So it's a complete lifestyle, and young people will not understand this, but when you reach a certain age, just being in the quiet place, just being away from noise, away from pollution, or away from stress, and just having, I don't know, trees, flowers, crops, birds, whatever else, it becomes, I don't know, I think it becomes more important. And also it's I don't know how to say this, it's kind of rewarding, recharging or so. So I'm just throwing this out there. Again, maybe look in the comment section for the actual video. This is just another possibility, and I think many people really don't think about it. But again, maybe as humans, rural life is actually the right way of living, right? If you just think about people living, let's say 300 years ago, they were breathing clean air. Yes, they had sicknesses, illnesses, and not a lot of medication or medical help. But on the other side, they got clean food, tasty food, not industrial food, and the food that those tomatoes that get by, I don't know, by trucks, spend 2 or 3 days on the road and has to be read when they arrive in stores. So they had good food. They were working physically, which is very important for a body as compared to the guy who sits in front of a computer all day long. They didn't even need to have a holiday, basically, because they were in the nature already. So it's a lifestyle that it's worth thinking about it, at least for a part of the population. So these are my suggestions again, and I just want to maybe send my best wishes for those who are in this situation, young persons who don't know what career to choose in life, and that's what I want to share with you. That I understand the difficult feeling of needing to choose a profession and not really be able to pick one. And this video also, it's pointing especially to people who are looking for a profession, right? Because if you want to just, it's up to everybody, right? There is a place for everybody. If you are just looking for a job, I don't know, in manufacturing, then there is likely not a lot of questioning. You just do that thing and go for it. But for those people who want to follow a profession, it doesn't have to have a college degree, but it's more involvement basically in studies and so on. The decision, it's difficult, and hopefully what I share with you will help at least a few of you. Thanks for watching, and just look in the comment section.